Hi friends, I'm doing a fun little tutorial because you asked on the little purple flowers I did. I believe they're called Mexican sage and they're really pretty. They're almost velvety. So let me grab a couple things and I'll get started. I'm going to make it really easy, fun, and doable, especially for you beginners, but no one will ever know you're a beginner. Let me grab something and I will come right back. So I am going to be using my Lane paints. These are the Paul Rubens student grade. Look at all, I really couldn't think of any other paints I would want to use because they have the most beautiful purples and even the blue, which I might use. And of course that rose pink. So what I want to do first is just a little swatch. So let me move that out of the way. And let's just swatch out those colors. And the other thing I'll show you in a second is I'm going to do a little surprise for those of you that have this product. If not, no big deal. You can just use your paints as well. So let's swatch this out. This is that handy dandy swatch stamp you all have introduced me to last year, and I love it. So I've got, let's see. Let me grab, this is my 8-round brush, but you can definitely use any 8-round brush you have. I will also link below my second favorite, which is the Velvet Touch. And just to let those of you that are beginners know, I'm still using these Dagatos. This is a set of like 10, really inexpensive, shocking how well they first, they're holding up. Still use them, but you get this whole set. For a beginner that doesn't want to invest too much, it's a perfect brush for you. Let's see, let me find my 8. Here is my 8-round. These are sold out, but like I said, you can just use any 8 rounds you have. And I've already activated my paints. I'm going to be using my fabulous favorites. You've heard me forever. Artisto pads. I mean, just look at that picture on the cover. Isn't that fantastic? Look at these colors. It's 140-pound cold press. It's got a great texture, and I label all of these. So this one right now is going to be going into February, and that way I can refer back to them. So it's kind of cool and fun. I'm going to go ahead and put some of the paints I'm going to be using into my palette. So I'm using these purples. I love the red violets. This one here, ooh, it's just such a pretty color. So I want to get those ready because I'm going to be painting wet in wet, and I want to make sure these are just ready to go. So getting those in here, I'm using red, violet, violet, my favorite colors. I think I'll even maybe use a little bit of that beautiful turquoise. So I have that in there as well. Good to have your paints ready because you want them, especially with a project like this that we're working wet in wet, you want them to be ready to go. So I've got all those colors in here, especially these. Look at how beautiful those are. Oh, they're so pretty. Okay, so let's swatch it out, folks. I'm going to start, this is a fresh purple. I even love the name of their paints. They're so pretty. So that is a fresh purple. It's just got a tiny bit of reddish color in it. And then their true purple is called Deep Violet. This is in the My Lane. And that's definitely a little purplier, if that's a word. And then their red violet, which I love. And I'm actually going to mix it with a little bit of the pink just to make it even pinker. Let me mix that in there. And then I'll have my 2 greens, and I might add some of that blue. But here's the 2 greens. I've got a sap green kind of my go-to green, and then maybe use either a little bit of the yellow green or some olive green so we get a nice little mix. And let's see, maybe some of that blue. We'll see with the blue. It's really, I just love the blue mixed in with that purple. Okay, so we are ready to go. Look at that beautiful color palette. Isn't that pretty? Let me grab my towel here. Okay, so let's go. This is gonna be really easy. And you know what? Actually, if you have a filbert brush, that is even a better brush. You can do dabs with this brush, but I think I'm gonna switch it up here, but don't worry. If you don't have the filbert brush, you can use that round, and we're just gonna do little dabs. So let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, this is, I have a piece of it here. So this is the actual flower. Isn't that pretty? You can't tell, but it's got this velvety texture. It's really cool. I love them. But they grow like a weed in front of my house. And then this is the little additional touch. Again, if you don't have these, no big deal, guys. These are the Brusho. I've got violet and I've got alizarin crimson. I'm just going to use a little bit of this for the background. If you don't have these Brushos, which I'll link below, I'll link all my supplies below, except for my brushes because they're sold out, you can just, you know, splatter on some of your watercolors. So no big deal. Let's see, let's start with, you can either wet your paper first. Let me look for, I like my tiny mister because it doesn't put as much water on the paper. 1 second, let me grab it. Hopefully I've got it here. Okay. Let's see, in my little handy dandy bag, yes. So these are just these little mini misters, and I like them because they don't quite put as much water on the paper. So it's just a very, oh, is it, it might be empty. Let's see here. Oh gosh. Let me put a little bit of water in there. Just a tiny bit. I don't need much. There we go. And let me show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so we've got that. Again, this is that 140-pound cold press paper. For students, I think this Artisto is great. And you get like 3 packs for $22. I know they don't have them in the UK. If you are in the UK, you can always go for the Meeden. It's my second choice, which I love. Okay, so what we want to do first is I'm just going to sprinkle some of this on. Now, again, if you don't have this, just splatter some of your paint on there. But I'm going to, and you probably can't even see this in the camera. And then I'm going to put some of the pink, but wait till I get it wet. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's like magic. So I'm just barely sprinkling that on. You probably can't even see it. Now let me grab my mister. Get it going. Ooh, look at that. Amazing, right? So now what I want to do is I'm going to let that dry just a bit. Again, if you don't have that, just use your pink and splatter it on there. Totally fine. Okay, now what I'm going to do is for these little pieces, I'm just going to use the side of my filbert, or you can dab on, just little dabs with your round brush. I love my filbert, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And first, I'm going to go ahead and load my brush a little bit. I think I'm going to start with a light color first. So a light color meaning a light value. And let's just go in and we're going to start at the tip of our flower. Dab, 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 dab. Just starting to make some of these little marks in here. Like that, and then I'll come down. So I'm just going back and forth with this brush. And then we'll just layer and go in with darker and darker colors. And that beautiful background is like perfect, right? Let's go to our next one here. Just dabbing in back and forth. And we're gonna build these colors. So we're gonna make them darker and darker. But we kind of start out with the lightest color first. So let me grab a tiny bit of that. I want to use some of that turquoise too, because I just think it's so gorgeous. Just dabbing in, letting it blend. Just really have fun, you know, let your kind of intuition just go. And then maybe one here. Aren't these colors beautiful together? The pinks, the purples, a little bit of that blue. I'm gonna sneak that one down in the back. So look how pretty that is already. I mean, you could stop right there. But what I wanna do is I'm gonna go in with, let's see, let's give it a quick shot, just literally a second of a shot with my little heat gun. It's pretty cold and rainy here, so sometimes this takes a bit to dry. So I'm just gonna help it. There we go, that's all that's needed. Oop. And I'm gonna go in with some of that blue again. I really love that blue. So let me see, where is the blue? Let's see how this light blue, I think this is the sky blue. And the light sky blue actually, not quite dark enough. I think I want something a little bit darker. So I'm going to go into, let's go into, ooh, how about the fresh blue? Let's try that one. Yeah, that's pretty. And I'm gonna go in pretty dark here to really define some lines. Then I'll just go in with a little bit of green. Yeah, look at that. Talk about interest. So when you're glazing and building layers like this, you really want to give those bottom layers a chance to dry so that this shows up. Otherwise, it'll just kind of blend together, which is fine too. But I really want to pull some of that color out. And again, this is the fresh blue in the My Lang palette. Just a little bit here and there. And I'm just twisting, turning my brush, just adding it in here and there. And then I'm going to add some green in there. So let me spin my palette around. I've got my green ready to go. And green and purple just go so beautifully together. They're not quite opposites on the color palette. They're opposite and one over, which I love working with that. It's like a split complementary. So let's just create some little green fun leaves. And you could, again, do this with your round brush. You could do this with your filbert, which has really a nice chisel-y edge. Just like that. Maybe add in some little pieces coming out here and there, and maybe even in the middle of your florals. So look how fun, look how easy. I hope you guys will give this a try. I'm so glad you asked about this. And I'm pretty much done. All right, everybody, I hope you give it a try. If you are just using the paint and not the Brusho, all you do is maybe dampen your paper, splatter it on, and it would give you the same similar effect in the background there. So give this a try, and you know what I'm going to do as soon as I hang up here. I'm going back in and I am putting in some of that bling because that's what I do. All right, everybody, happy painting. Keep in mind on Fridays, I have our fun Zoom classes. If enough of you are interested for Saturdays, I'm happy to do a Saturday class too. I know some of us are working. And meanwhile, I'm just so happy to have you here. I'll list all the supplies down below. Happy painting, everybody. And I'm just so happy to have you here with me.